Welcome to the second episode of Armada's quarterly product update. Armada is the default platform and infrastructure for many of our customers who are looking to deploy sovereign solutions with speed and at scale. I have some important guests from my team to talk about some of the exciting product updates. Prag, welcome to the episode. As you remember, Amar in the last episode showed how many ISVs we are bringing into the Bridge marketplace. Post that, a lot of our customers has asked one important question. I have so many models to choose, and how do I trust, and how do I fine-tune the models, right? Prag?
Yes, Pradeep, since we launched the marketplace where people had access to a lot of the frontier models that's available out there, and since the marketplace launched, there has been a big shift. The big shift has been from access to selection and operationalization of models. And at Armada, we are building the sovereign AI infrastructure, right? It spans across the entirety of the edge, the cloud, and on-prem, the entirety of the
Lifecycle.
cycle. And I want to talk a little bit about the sovereign AI lifecycle, right? Over here, I will show you like in the continuous sovereign lifecycle from cloud to edge and back. We are doing a lot of the pre-training in the cloud. The foundation models are trained in centralized cloud or regional AI factories. And then they're optimized and compressed. All the pruning, quantization, distillation, packaging for deployment, and then the customers can do the benchmarking, right? So, Pradeep, as you can see, that a lot of the models that people have access to, these are frontier models, and these are open weight models that we have operationalized at the edge, and they have access to it. But when it comes to certain tasks, certain processes, certain very specific use cases of these models, some models have their own strengths, and models have to be, customers have to select what models best suit their
use
needs, the use case, the needs, the workloads. So they have to kind of, make those models, fine tune those models, but at the same time they have to benchmark them. So on Bridge, we are able to compare models side by side. The customers are able to do that, and testing on the hardware profiles that they own, that they have deployed at the edge, right? So it's real deployment constraints with whatever models they want to operationalize, and they can test what model, when fine-tuned and customized to their workflows, their workloads, their agentic tasks, is the best for deployment on the hardware profiles that they own and they have operationalized at the edge. So that is one place over here in Armada Bridge. We allow that, we have enabled that benchmarking, fine-tuning of models. And then, of course, we have inference at the edge, and we do the checkpointing, and then we send it back to the cloud. The checkpoints, telemetry, evaluation, updates are sent back to the cloud, and the model is again pre-trained, right? So this completes the entire sovereign AI lifecycle, as we say, this distributed lifecycle for sovereign models across cloud and edge.
And it's a continuous cycle, right?
That's right.
I might, get a new model, which is released, the frontier models. I want to take it and then fine tune and on my infrastructure, my data, right?
That's right.
Which is sovereign.
That's extremely important, and we have a example that I'll show you
Excited
today.
to see the demo.
It's about a rig assistant that we have built for oil and gas wells operators, and sometimes these operators work in very remote places. This is an example in a remote, oil well in Canada, northern Canada, where we have a rig assistant where will show that first that when you take a model, it has generic information, it has general knowledge, right? Stuff about oil and gas operations. But then when you start saying that, okay, can I use this one for creating rig reports, or it has all the domain understanding of all the operations at that site, how do you make that happen, right? And this is Bridge is built for that, where people can manage their models. They can, over here, I will show you some of the models, and this is what Amar showed the last time, the dashboard. I've just logged into the Bridge portal. And you can see all of that. But, of course, Amar talked about the compute, the storage, and so on, network and so on. But let me go straight to the models. Over here, you'll see an entire menu of models. We have all the models from
the Mistral,
Llama, GPD OSS, the Mistral models. you can see Microsoft's
The
Phi,
Nemotron,
the
Nemotron.
NVIDIA Nemotron.
Yeah, Nemotron.
All of that is available. Different parameter size. Each of these models have their own strengths. But now the question becomes like, okay, how do I really, now that I have access to many models, which one is the right for my workload on my Galleon at my site?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll take a quick example of this studio, and over here over here I'll show you over here where we have open, let's take this model. It's a Mistral 7 billion parameter model, and I just opened it on Bridge, and the customer says that, okay, you know what, I want to ask a very specific question, is like, what are the requirements for testing the operations and effectiveness of a blowout prevention equipment at this rig? When you ask the general model, it gives you a very generic answer. Like, oh, here are the API standards. Here's the International Organization ISO standard.
Very generic.
It's generic.
Very generic,
the operator knows all of these things probably, right? And
or they have the time to go through a generic response.
Exactly. It's a really long response, and they'll say, what is that? What is in this that's relevant to my specific operation at the edge?
Or my site.
Yeah, exactly. So now if you were to, the operator takes all the maintenance logs, the standard operating procedures, the rig reports, all the data that they ingest at that site, and the model is fine-tuned. It starts understanding. It has access to some of the documents that are available at that site. It's sovereign, so that all of this is kept proprietary. Nothing is leaked. But now if you go and say that, look, okay, I have a very specific model that fine-tuned at the edge, and they're benchmarked, and they said, okay, you know what, let's go and ask the same question here. And they don't want a really long answer, and they ask the same question, like, okay, what are the requirements? It says very specific thing, that this must be tested, and this is the the standard, and this is very specific to the Canadian oil field right there. So you can see that it's very specific when you are operationalizing a lot of these things. And suppose I go and now ask, the old one is like, show the steps for the blowout prevention drill. Okay, and in a generic model, it gives you the whole 9 yards of like, okay, here are 10 things that you need to documentation,
and go read some other document.
Like go read some other document. It doesn't really suffice, right? For a person in operations, which they are going to do a drill, they want very specific things, like tell me exactly when it comes low. So let's go back and ask the same question. Show me the steps for the blowout prevention drill. Now it tells, oh, here's 1, 2, 3. It starts telling. So it's a very specific, very concise. And now it tells you, like, okay, you pump out the casing to the surface, install the drill string into the swivel, pump the drill string down the hole. Once the drill string is the hole, pump can be turned off. It tells you the exact process, the procedure. So that is the power of Bridge.
Exactly. So being precise, being fast, and then, being secure as well, right?
Exactly.
So it's all my specific data, etc.
That's right. And what we have done built into Bridge is this workflow that allows customers to evaluate candidate models against their own, actual deployment target. Not a generic lab environment. They can benchmark these models side by side, as you can see here, and against the hardware profile that they actually use. So that is very specific. That's very effective for industrial operations. And that is what it takes for building agentic workflows. And the team is going to show even more details. Dale and I will be talking about them. But you can see that we are operationalizing it. The Armada is the one. And over here, of course, fine-tuning is native to Bridge. We prune, quantize, and distill pipeline. That the whole pipeline is delivered through the marketplace ISV ecosystem. And that is one integrated workflow, Pradeep. Rather than a chain of disconnected tools, exports and hands-off and so on, we have just one place where we can do that.
Single integrated platform for all your sovereign AI deployments, right?
That's right. And one thing, Pradeep, the last thing I would, of course, mention is the fact that, that of course you're benchmarking the model side by side, but and all of this, you're operationalizing it. We now support a full token factory, enabling neoclouds and sovereign clouds to offer shared or dedicated endpoints where, with token-based billing, right? So this is all deployed and managed directly through Bridge, and that is a powerful thing because we at Armada are enabling the AI factory, where the entire sovereign AI lifecycle of models is just like a factory does. Like we basically enable that for our customers.
Yeah. So also maybe the right time to share the important update with our partner, Cisco. Like Cisco has been one of our partners. We have been deploying Cisco gear into our Galleon for the edge deployments. We've also actually now brought in Cisco Meraki SD-WAN into our Atlas platform. Plus, for all the customers who are looking to deploy the Cisco Secure AI factories, we have actually full integration on Bridge, and we can actually support the Cisco networking gear completely into the sovereign AI deployments on the edge or even the colo or on-prem colos, right? So that's interesting update. So we continue to strengthen our partnership there with Cisco.
No, Cisco, is of course trusted by so many of our customers, and it's exciting to have them as a partner, and that enables us, like in the entire partner ecosystem, how we can bring all of them together to deploy, sovereign AI across the cloud, the on-prem, as well as the edge.
Yeah. Now let's move over to Dale. Dale leads some of the edge product work on my side, and at Armada we say the applications are super important because the right business application enable customers to achieve business outcomes faster, including operational efficiency, cost savings, etc. Right? So we have invested a lot onto the marketplace and getting the first-party applications for customers and partner applications like faster and in a scalable manner. Dale, what are the updates there?
Sure. Thanks, Pradeep. So obviously a big part of the Armada platform is being able to run and launch apps off of your edge computes. That's what this is all about. A big piece of that is how do we get those applications into our app marketplace so that they can be deployed and distributed and managed at the edge. To date, that has been a primarily engineering-led process. So we would work directly with first-party customers, with partners to get apps into our marketplace so that they can be single-click deployed and then managed at the edge.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not scalable. We've had dedicated engineers helping work with customers, onboard apps. What we've done recently is we have launched a completely self-serve, semi-automated onboarding flow that our customers and partners can leverage to quickly get into our application marketplace and deploy at scale. Probably the quickest way for me to kind of show you what that looks like is just to show it. So I'm going to hop right in. Partners that sign up for this management experience. So whether it be, you are a first-party company, you want to host your own internal first-party secret sauce workloads, you can do that safely and securely through the Armada marketplace. So, publish it to a private marketplace just for your organization. You can also, as an ISV, you can go in and you can publish your third-party offering to a public marketplace on Armada, and then use the Armada marketplace to monetize your offering for the edge. So, a typical pattern we might see is a traditional SaaS provider might come to Armada saying, hey, we want an edge story. We want to be able to quickly deploy this to edge for customers and whatnot. So this is the experience that those ISVs would use as well. So I have a sample demo here created, sample app rather, just to kind of illustrate what the flow looks like. First thing a user would go in and do is you would define the metadata for your application. So what is the icon? What does it look like in Marketplace? What's it compatible with? And then you would also go and define the essentially the bits and bytes, the package that describes this application. An application can be Kubernetes backed, so we'll accept Kubernetes-based manifest. We can also support VM-based workloads. So you can effectively describe any application workloads for all intents and purposes as an app and get that deployed into the Armada marketplace. Now, after I've described all this here, I simply hit submit for review. And now this is doing a lot. Automatically behind the scenes. This is pulling the source, it's parsing the Helm chart, making sure everything's deployable, validating all your secrets, making sure we can hit the endpoints, and then it's actually going to go and pull this application and do a test deployment against any hardware that we want to certify this application against. So that gives customers and partners the guarantee that this application is going to work when it's deployed to one of our certified pieces of edge hardware.
So this is where like an app admin from a customer or an app developer from the customer side would come and do this. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
First party or third party. If you
Yeah.
have an app and you want to host it in our marketplace for speedy, quick, safe deployment to the edge,
Yeah.
this is your path to do that.
Self-serve, completely
Exactly. So this is going to take a little while, but once it gets completed, you're left in a state like this as the user. So this release here was already approved by the automated workflow, as well as a manual check that we do just to ensure that everything ticks and ties. At the end of the day, the user is presented with a publish button. Super simple. User can choose, do I want to put this on the private marketplace, i.e. only available to my organization? This is a first-party workload. I want to scale out to all of my edge nodes. Or is it a public offering? So like I am a Microsoft and I want to sell my IoT offering as a clickable, deployable application on the marketplace. All of this is possible using this new automated onboarding workflow.
Yeah. That private marketplace is super important for some of our sensitive enterprise customers. They don't want their custom first-party applications to be visible to anybody else.
Exactly. That's a very common request we get from customers. Almost every customer is running a mix of packaged, commercial off-the-shelf software, supplemented with legacy, with ETL, all sorts of workloads. And with this flexible application framework, you can bundle and distribute those workloads regardless of what's underpinning them in a scalable and safe manner, and then manage the entire application lifecycle. So versions and everything are also tracked through here. We manage the upgrade process and can help customers through that. So
okay. Thank you, Dale. That's Prag. That's exciting.
very
like
exciting to have a
single
marketplace
click,
app,
like self-serve, like
Private
easy,
marketplace,
private marketplace. We are continuing to build the sovereign AI journey. So now we have also been working quite a bit on the Agentic AI stuff onto the platform, right? We have customers managing thousands of assets, and then they have been asking about, hey, how do we kind of make things scalable, like from an operation perspective. Many of our customers are looking at our platform for their day-to-day operations and managing some of them. So Dhaya, who leads some of the Agentic AI stuff on the product side, is here. Dhaya, excited to hear the new updates there.
Thank you, Pradeep. So one of the pain points that customers have been facing while managing thousands of assets is that how do we set up alerting and monitoring capabilities in a matter of minutes or days, right? Right now, they have been waiting on building a feature, or they would want to alert for conditions that they care about. But what we have built here is a game changer for them. So it's a completely agentic aspect of our platform, which will enable the customers to just enter what they care about in a matter of simple natural language. And then once they enter the prompt, our LLM will take care of everything else in setting up the alerts in minutes, instead of them waiting to build a feature which is engineering heavy and custom UI need not be built for that. So that's what we have done, and I can show you that capability that we have built. So if you see here in the custom monitors, customers can go and create a monitor in a matter of minutes. So I'm just going to enter it in a natural language where I just assume I'm an operator without having any technical knowledge. So I just care about my SD-WAN fleet. So I'm saying alert me when my SD-WAN devices exceed 50 GB of data, let's say. So I enter this prompt, and then the LLM is actually going to evaluate this and making sure that at this point, the interpretation of the natural language is completely at the LLM, and then it takes care of that by building confidence with the customer. So it's going to ask for the time period in which it needs to be set, and making sure that customers are clear of what they want. So let's say I want it to be...
And this works across multiple device types too, right? Multiple assets, etc.
Absolutely. So it's across the assets, across the modules, experiences. It's a platform capability that we have built, which is going to be completely game changer for our customers. So once I run the prompt, there are three aspects here in which we are building confidence with the customers. Like you see, the code itself is generated here. On the spot for tech-savvy operators, they can just look at it and build confidence. We give a description of what the code does, right? This is what the code does. And then it tells that, hey, I'm going to fire once per asset when the total usage, which means both the download and upload across all WAN interfaces, is going to exceed 50 GB. So I'm telling the customer that this is what I'm doing without actually getting influenced by the prompt that they enter, which is a great confidence building factor. The preview is actually going to give you an idea of currently what are the devices that are impacted by this condition for us to be alerting it. So once you save the custom monitor, it's going to ask you all metadata that the customer care about, monitor name, you can set it up. So as a customer, you can enter the severity, you can enter the evaluation frequency, how frequently do you want to evaluate it. And then once you enter that, and you also can set up maybe an email where you need to be alerted for. And then once you do all those things and you save, your monitor is saved. So we have a list of monitors that we have saved, and we have been giving alerts to customers based on that. And this has been like a game changer for our customers, like I said.
How does this integrate into the AI assistant, which a lot of our customers have been using?
Great question. So we have been having AI Assistant in our platform for a while, where we have been giving all relevant information customers care about.
Yeah.
So we go across the assets and modules and give that. Now what we have done is, let's say I'm going to say that give me data insights for my drone fleet. Again, with the natural language, what it's going to do is to generate the complete report and give you a complete insight of the data, not just the data dump, right? So if you see here, this is what will be generated, where a drone fleet operation summary is given as a form of a dashboard.
Okay.
So customers really care about this, and this is really powerful.
This is super exciting because like a lot of our customers have heard they deploy a fleet of drones. They want to know how many flights have happened, like how are the drones performing. This is great, like especially if I'm the operations head, I'm from a NOC perspective, I can see all of that in a single place. So exciting to see the agentic stuff expanding across a fleet of assets from our perspective.
They decide how to set up and what alerts to set up as well.
Yes.
They are in
And the
control.
use cases can go unlimited.
That's right.
Because there's no end to it, right? It's just a matter of natural language. Everywhere they can go modules, all the assets, the use cases is limitless.
Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Dhaya. So you guys heard some exciting updates. So till we meet back for the next episode, we are actually bringing all of these product capabilities also in person. So we are doing a sovereign AI tour. So if you are in any of these cities, please come and see the Galleon tour first experience. We are there at GTC in Berlin, the Pareto conference in Norway, and a set of other critical events around the world, right? So come see the Galleon experiences firsthand. And till we meet next, thank you for watching. See you next time.